Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to Online Darts here, live as we react to the PDC World Championship draw. Myself, Jack Howard, joined by the wonderful Mr. Dan. Hello.
There we go.
There we go. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. Very well indeed. Excited. It's Christmas time, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it is now because I had a present this morning. A side of little controversy online, by the way. What do we think?
I'm a bit. I'll tell you what I think. I couldn't.
Where the bloody hell is yours?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that I'm sat in a little WhatsApp group and everyone else has been sent a new dartboard with a little green flash on it, and mine's missing. I've checked the post. The only thing that came in the post to this house today is a 12-foot inflatable glow-in-the-dark dinosaur throughout the front of our house for Christmas. The kids are going to absolutely love it. But I did not receive a dartboard in the post today, much to my frustration. However, I will overlook that huge oversight from Paddy Power. And I will tell you, I'm very excited. It's the best time of year to be a darts fan. Absolutely right. We got the draw today. Now we know what's going to happen. We're just a couple of weeks away from the Live Lounge Live. Me making a little pilgrimage south to come and see you all. And then we're in it, aren't we? Then we're into Dartmouth. We're there.
We are indeed. The Players' Championship final is over. Luke Humphries won 3 of the last 4 majors. He surely heads into this field as the strong favourite right now after dispatching a Mark Van Gogh in that final as well. Makes for an interesting draw as well, this, isn't it? Because at one point, he was in a really, really tough little quarter to draw, and that win at the weekend has just moved him away. Now, he moves out of a tough quarter, but he does move into the same half as Van Gogh, which means we would be denied that as a final. They would meet as a semi-final instead.
Yeah, but at that end of the tournament, it's. I mean, let's be honest. Barring a big surprise, we're going to get big. We're going to get big names. We're going to get big semi-finalists. So yeah, yes, it is it would have been a box office final, but I think, let's be honest, there are a number of other potential box office finals as well. So just because we won't get that, at the end, what it does mean is we might end up on a lovely little run between quarters and semis and finals and see some really, really big clashes at the top end of the order of merit. Or we could see somebody come completely out of left field. I've just been refreshing myself with who's in the draw because, of course, we did get another 4 players added to the list this afternoon. And there's lots to play for, isn't there? Certainly around that tour card spot. Florian Hempel only a couple of places outside of the tour card slots. He's a man who is, let's be honest, probably one of the more likely now to make that couple of place leap up because he's given himself that chance. He will be at the Palace, and even just one win there could potentially be enough for Florian Hempel.
It could. He's had a solid back end to the year, considering his form last year. Everyone thought he was absolutely coasting. He was in contention for titles on the Pro Tour, etc. Some big name casualties. No Vincent van der Voort, no Mervyn King in a World Championship for the first time since 1996. The last time Mervyn King did not play in a World Championship, I wasn't born.
That's terrifying to someone as old as me. That makes me feel older than buying that giant dinosaur. But I had Mervyn. The Mervyn King shirt was ready, it was ready to wear today. And I thought, if he comes through, it was. And unfortunately, Merv's not quite got over the line today. But it looks like there was. I've been working today, so I didn't really get to follow. I sort of checked in with the results. I did notice that there was a couple of big. Richie Burnett went close, got down to the last 16. Alan Suter, just missed out. He was one that I think a lot of people were. I think, well, certainly at points over the last couple of years, he's probably. Are you counting that as a shock that he's not there at the Palace? Do you think, Jack?
I think, given his form over the last couple of years, yes. Yeah. Given his form this year, perhaps not. I don't think anybody had Darren Webster getting through this qualifier. He's something like 126th in the year-to-date earnings and rankings.
Yeah,
He's not a good season at all.
There's a few that Darius Lamanowskis. I think you and I watched him play at the Palace last year, didn't he? We were there. We were there for his game. Yeah, we won't be seeing him this year. Robbie John Rodriguez, Mervyn King, a few. Vincent van der Voort didn't come through, as you mentioned. Mensja Sulevic only got down to the top 32 today. So there are some big players in there that have won things, that have been to Premier Leagues and haven't managed to qualify for the Palace this year. Hello, you gone again?
Again. By contrast to losing some of the big names, we're getting some very, very large talents and personalities back in response. The World Youth Final took place yesterday. A frightening standard between Luke Littler and Gian Van Veen. Both of those involved in the draw this year. Nobody's going to want to play Luke, are they? Luke Littler this year is the Fallon and the Bow of the last couple of years. Nobody wants to play him.
Yeah, I think if you take that list of the Pro Tour Order of Merit qualifiers and the top 32, if you ask them all for one name, like 99% are giving you the same name. 99% are giving you the same name that they do not want to play. Yeah, it was glorious last night. I know we were all having a bit of a sort of message around and as we watched it, but I just think both of those players have got so much to offer over the next couple of years. I don't think it's the first time we'll see them two playing each other on a big stage with a trophy at the end of it. I really don't. I think they've got so much to offer and so much time within which to develop in the game. Really, really exciting, that World Youth Final.
They do. And obviously, I mentioned them a minute ago that Luke is the new Fallon that nobody wants to play. She is in the draw once again, alongside Mikuru Suzuki. No Bo Greaves, of course. She's declined her invitation to go and play at the Lakes. And given how well she played in the Grand Slam, do we think that actually a lot of players will be relieved not to see Bo in that draw this year?
100%. And in reality, if you're looking down that list of international qualifiers, you'd fancy her chances against most of them. She's certainly got the level to get through, most of the players there. Definitely, I think there'll be a lot of relieved. Well, I don't know. It depends how this draw goes and who gets who, doesn't it? But yeah, she's certainly a big miss from that draw in terms of threat and talent.
Indeed. Now, obviously, there are some interesting things that could happen in a minute. We've just mentioned Fallon. One of them, perhaps, is the fact that her partner, Cameron Menzies, is floating in that part of the draw as well. We could see a Fallon versus Cami game up on stage. I mean, everybody's sat here waiting to see that, probably apart from those two.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I reckon one of them fancies it, but just won't dare admit it. Like, I don't think that. I definitely think that they can't share their true feelings on that. But yeah, I think we'd love to see it because to be honest, it's going to do numbers, isn't it? Everyone's going to fancy watching it. It's going to, there's plenty to talk about, plenty to cover.
They are both very competitive, so they both play for the same county side. And I've seen Fallon go up and average 90 in a women's game, and then Cami go up and average 92, and then scream at the back of the room saying, "Hi, yes, I did you in," because she was winding him up, saying, "You've got no chance of beating that."
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't know if we'd get anything like that on a stage. Nobody really knows what we would see because we've never seen it before, have we? We've never seen anything quite similar. I don't think we've ever seen. Well, I tell you what, if we have seen it before, they've kept it under their hat and we haven't known about it. If we have seen two partners going at it on the Ali Pali stage, it's certainly been kept out of the press, so to speak.
Correct. Right, a couple of things before the draw does get started. Unfortunately, neither myself or Dan has access to a legitimate Sky streaming service, so we're going to run off mine.
Only in the room that I'm in.
Home before.
Just to be clear.
Dan has 12 TVs in his house, and unfortunately, he's streaming in the one room where he does not have access to watch Sky live.
I'm in a formal dining room.
I'm going to be the one calling out the names as they go along. We don't have anybody sat in the background typing the names out as we go either, so you'll just have to rely on us trying to get that out afterwards. Do we trust the YouTube channel more than we trust the service that I'm currently using.
I'll load it up now. I'll load it up and I'll have a look.
We're running off that. We'll do that. We'll use that instead. What a perfect idea. Thanks for letting us know, folks. Please
Right,
don't
I'm gonna mute
watch it live.
I'm going to mute my mic while I load this up, and then I'll come back off mute once I know all is working.
Yes. Okay, we'll run off that one. So you guys can obviously watch both of us at the same time. It is on Sky Sports YouTube. We're just going to react as it comes out, etc. So, yes, that's the plan for now. I'm going to watch. Sky will put the graphics up on screen. So the advantage is that we will be able to see it without getting done for copyright and hearing it, unless I could grab my AirPods.
Do you remember last year when I said I can't remember what we did previously? You know, and I said, "Oh, we've done this for years, Gob. I can't remember what we did before." This is exactly what we did before. We put I had it on Sky on the YouTube channel, and then we just read the names out from there and had a bit crack about them.
Yes. Now they're currently showing Checkmates that went viral last year, the two Aussie folks. Reacting to the best leg of all time.
My mate was messaging me last night. He'd gone into the pub to watch the darts, and he'd gone between pubs, and he thought he was safe getting from one pub to another, and he walked through the door as Michael Van Gerwen took his darts out of the board after hitting the 9-darter. He must have walked about 150 yards from one pub to another. Missed
Poor
it.
bloke. Right, Mark and Lemmer currently having a nice little conversation. Conducting the draw this year will be Phil Taylor and Dennis Priestley to mark the 30th anniversary of the very first PDC, or at that point WDC World Championship. And if the format is in like previous years, I believe we will find out Michael Smith's potential opponent straight away. So what we will get is we'll get to play number one will be the winner of this tie, and then we'll get 2 players.
I wonder how
no spoilers in the chat, 100%, Rob. We're gonna, if you're gonna spoil, you might as well watch it live on their channel instead, haven't you? So,
yeah, I wonder how quick they'll get a graphic out. Do you know what? There's lots of people that aren't having it. You know, the green, like as in they don't believe it. Loads of people don't believe it. And genuinely, if you don't believe it and you think it's a hoax, read the science. Like they've actually published the science. Matt Porter's come out and talked about the science and the potential improvements to the game. There's lots of sports scientists that think we're going to see higher percentages of 140s and 180s than we've ever seen before. About where green sits in the color spectrum, and how people find it easier to aim for.
I'll be honest, even though I have one here, I'm still not sure. Like, some people have been sent letters with theirs. I haven't got any sort of news or anything on them. All I know is that people at the launch, such as Phil, will be receiving one. Myself and Lee got sent one as well. I know the darts referee has had one also.
Can we carry on listing all the people that got sent one? We might as well just say everyone but Dan Simpson got sent one.
But yeah, even with one physically in my hands, I'm not convinced the very first game of the World Championship is played with a treble that colour. They are the sort of people that would put the science up to make it sound believable the other way, and then go, actually, how we've got it. Like, look, it's got people talking about the World Championship, which is absolutely perfect. The Players' Championship finished yesterday. They've timed it magnificently. Everybody knows the draw's coming now because everybody's been talking about the green treble. If it is a stunt, they've done brilliantly again. And the fact it is Paddy Power, I've got a sat here going, is it a stunt? Isn't it a stunt? Which is generating even more chat than going, oh my God, have you seen what they've done? Because now it's, have you seen what they've done? And then, is it real on top of it? The conversation keeps going.
But that's what they're very good at. Like one of my pals who's, one of the brighter people that I know messaged me immediately and just said, well, it's cost them virtually nothing. They've printed a few, they've got a few boards made. They've sent a few tweets out and they've had a mass amount of attention. People have been tweeting about it all day. More people have said the word Paddy Power today than anyone said a sponsor of a darts event cumulatively for the last 5 years. If nothing else, like, people now know that it's the Paddy Power Darts World Championships, don't they? It's like they've
exactly their intention, wasn't it? Let's be honest. They've known this from the start. We've known something like this was coming. Paddy weren't just going to roll into this and go, "Oh yeah, the stage is now green." They were always going to put some effort in. I mean, some of the things we've heard about the fan zone. There's going to be a chance for you to commentate if you attend. There's going to have a commentary booth where you get to. They will record you and a friend commentating and reacting to that 9 dart leg from the final last year, and then they'll send you a digital copy.
That's cool, isn't it?
How mint is that?
Yeah, that's very cool. They are. I mean, they're good. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's nobody really doing as good a job in terms of making football adverts that I enjoy being sent in WhatsApp chats. Than Paddy. There is nothing. They are genuinely like just small sketch shows, aren't they? Small just pieces of entertainment that they promote what they're supposed to be promoting, but they give everybody a little giggle and a bit of fun as well.
Yeah. And obviously, when they did the Champions League back in Leicester a few years ago, you have people strutting around with green pants on and all sorts. However, they're about to draw the first name. So Michael Smith will play either. Are
you shouting them or am I shouting them? Are you shouting them?
You tell me when you can see the first name.
I've got a hand in the bag. The ball's out, and the ball is
14. Kevin Dukes. Ooh. Stowe Bunce or Kevin Dukes will play Michael Smith.
Ooh. That's potentially, yeah.
Yeah,
I like the idea.
Stowe Bunce is...
We've seen big things from Stowe Bunce recently.
Decker. Or Dragutin Horvat, the Super League champion in Germany, will take on Madars Razma.
I've just remembered some of the names that are in this draw, and I'm glad that you're reading them out.
Neil Zonneveld defeated Johnny Clayton this weekend. We'll take on Darren Webster, who came through the qualifier today for the right to play Ross Smith. Next up to play Chris Dobie. What a horrible section that is, by the way. Michael Smith, Madars Razma, Ross Smith, Chris Dobie. Willie O'Connor, Chris Dobie will not like seeing that name.
Nah, don't like that draw.
Or Bhav Patel, the Indian qualifier runner-up that has since replaced Prakash Jiwa.
Why is he not going?
Suspended, Daniel. Rob Cross will take on either Mario Vandenberg Harder, who gave Michael Van Gerwen a run for his money at the weekend.
He had a good week, didn't he? He's done well.
Yeah. Or Thibaut Tricol.
Ah, the Frenchman.
Who do we have next? Jose de Souza. Richie Edhouse. That man loves a maximum.
Yeah, that's it's not straightforward, that.
No. Or Jeffrey de Graaf.
I don't think that's straightforward at all for de Souza.
Nope.
He won't be particularly over the moon with that draw.
So Johnny Clayton, Steve Lennon potentially awaits for the Ferret if he can get past. Owen Bates, that is a horrible draw for Johnny Clayton.
And let's not forget, Steve Lennon is the man in 65th spot when 64 keep a tour card. Needs to win, Steve Lennon.
And to wrap up the first quarter of the draw, Krzysztof Ratajski, the Polish Eagle, will play either Jamie Hughes or David Cameron.
Oh.
I didn't even realise he'd qualified this time around. The Seniors Master from 2022. Into the second quarter of the draw, Peter Wright will take on Jim Williams, one of the most informed men in the world of darts right now, or Norman Madu? Barney. Who's Barney got? What a horrible... Peter Wright, Raymond van Barneveld, potentially in the 32, by the way.
But that's worth a look, isn't it? Is he struggling with the...
He's struggling with the line underneath. Radek Sagansky. Or Marco Cantele for Raymond van Barneveld. Wadey Baby. Oh, what a horrible part of the draw he's dropped into, by the way. Matt Campbell. Sheesh.
Oh.
Or Lawrence Ilagan. James Wade won't stand for any of that nonsense.
I love that opener. I love that opening game. Matt Campbell against Lawrence Ilagan. I'm all over.
That's the best tie of the game round so far.
Finest action in darts against the Ginger Ninja.
Oh, Andrew Gilden will take on either Christian Kist, former Lakeside World Champion, or Luke Littler. What a horrible part of the draw.
Wow.
Wow, that's Andrew Gilding's potential opponent, by the way, in the same part of the draw as James Wade, and in the same quarter of the draw, should they keep progressing, as Peter Wright and Raymond van Barneveld. Up next, Gerwyn Price. What a horrible quarter this is. Connor Scott.
Oh, it's a naughty draw for another man.
Year on tour than year one.
Yeah, another man, though, needing to win at least a couple of games to keep his tour card.
Well, Christoph Kachuk, the man that beat... Sebastian Białecki in the West of Europe qualifier. Mickey Mansell will take on... Oh, my God. Oh. That's one for the neutrals. Zhao Chen Zong or Mickey Mansell will take on Brendan Dolan. That's an afternoon game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Afternoon session there.
Keegan Brown. Oh, do you know what? He'll fancy this depending on his opponent. Because Dirk van Duivenbode is awaiting. And it is Boris Kritschmar. So if he gets past Big Bad Boris, an injured Dirk van Duivenbode awaits. However, with Gary Anderson in the following round, should he come through, his tie.
Who?
Oh my God, Simon Whitlock.
Oh, the Wizard.
Or Paulo Nebreda.
Is that for Gary Anderson?
It is. Simon struggled last year with Perez. Into quarter three, Michael van Gerwen. Keane Barry. Or Barry Keane, as we colloquially refer to him.
Barry Keane against some interesting names we haven't seen yet.
Or Ronaldo Rivera.
You'll fancy that, Barry Keane.
Richard Veenstra is next out of the hat.
He's had a really good year.
Ben Robb. That's an interesting little tie.
Veenstra had a really good year. He looked really good last week.
And winner of that was Tim Hybrex as well, who, let's not forget, dispatched Gerwyn Price at the weekend. Dylan Slevin, the man that took advantage of a last-minute call-up to make the second round at the Players' Championship finals. We'll take on Florian Hempel, who came through the qualifier today. Dimitri Vandenberg awaits for the winner of that.
It's a nice little set, that.
Stephen Bunting in the 18th seed, which, by the way, has the worst record of any of the 32 seeds in terms of numbers in this tournament. Well, I mean,
oh, brutal that, Ryan Joyce.
Ryan Joyce or Alex Spellman. Yeah, that number 18 seed might continue. Stephen Bunting has been in great form, but he will not like the look of that draw one bit.
Joyce has played really, really well this year. Some absolutely top stuff from him. Pro Tour winner. Played well at the weekend.
Ooh. Scott Williams next out the hat. Not been the best 2023 compared to 2022. But he'll take on Haruki Muramatsu for the chance to play Danny Noppert.
I think he'll fancy that as well.
Schindler's opponent will be Jermaine Watermainer, who all of a sudden looks like a dart player again.
He does. He's looked really well, hasn't he? Last 6 months, I think he's really, really come back to the forefront.
Or Fallon Sherrock. So that one's off the cards. Cameron Menzies will not take on Fallon. She will take on Jermaine Watermainer for the right to play Martin Schindler. Damon Heta up next. Martin Lukeman for... Martin Lukeman!
Unpredictable Martin Lukeman.
Or Halpai Puha. I think both Kiwis have got a half-decent tie there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you never quite know what you're going to get with Martin, do you?
Yeah.
He could play unbelievably well or he could stink it out, depending on how he's feeling.
Number 4, Luke Woodhouse, who made his first TV quarter-final this weekend. Or Barry Vampire to play Josh Rock. Wasn't that a World Youth game at one point?
It could well have been, you know.
On to the last one, Luke Humphreys in his new position, thanks to his win at the weekend, will take on either Lee Evans, the Evs.
Another man who did well at the weekend.
Or Sandro Eric Sosing. The one player I know nothing about in this draw. Oh, Ricardo Petrescu next out for the right to play Callan Ridds.
That's brutal, that.
Or Mikuru Suzuki, Petrescu versus Suzuki, with the added element that Petrescu suddenly has a crowd that does not like him.
Yeah, and they're going to be at him relentlessly in the balance in that game.
And he takes on Mikuru Suzuki. Up next to take on Joe Cullen will be either Jules Van Dongen. That's already a nasty little tie. Or Darren Pennell from the DPA system. Ryan Searle out the hat next. Well, he's not out next. He's in the bracket next. Ian White.
Mixed
back
bag
this year after missing out last year.
Real mixed bag we've seen from him recently.
Who's that? Tomoya Goto. Priestley's perfect for this, by the way. He's had the right little bit of personality, isn't he? Having a little natter.
He's getting some stick for shouting in their chat room.
Ricky Evans. Oh, Emma messed up. So it's Ricky Evans or Simon Adams to play Nathan Aspinall, not Daryl Gurney. Didn't look down the draw properly. The next names out of the hat will take on Daryl Gurney. Hope we're well, everybody in the chat. Just a few more to go. 3 more, 6 players to go. I think Cameron Menzies is still one of them as well.
He certainly is.
Steve Beaton staying alive. Steve.
Still
1 year we'll sit here and say his tour card is genuinely at risk, but it won't be this year.
No. Or next.
Oh, that's horrible, you know. Wessel Nyman to play Steve Beaton for the right to play Daryl Gurney. Next up, Dave Chisnell. Is this the year he finally wins a major, and can it be the big one?
No.
There is Cameron Menzies out of the hat. Who will take on Rusty Jake Rodriguez. Straight through the qualifier today.
That's a tough little group of games, isn't it?
I wouldn't fancy either of them.
No, not at all. Dennis is he's loving this.
Being the last Pro Tour player out the hat, who will take on Man Lok Lung. Oh, that's a tough little draw, you know. Right, that is the full draw. Dan, if you keep scouring for a graphic of some sort,
that's what I shall do.
Fire it in the back end on social media. I'll read out the draw in full because I was taking notes the entire way along. We start. Michael Smith will play either Kevin Dutz or Stowe Bunce, the Neon Nightmare. It's Mike De Decker or Dragutin Horvat for Madas Razma. 16th seed Ross Smith will take on Neil Zonneveld or Darren Webster, who came through the qualifier earlier today. Chris Dobie, tough little draw for him. He takes on Willie O'Connor if the Magpie can get through Bhav Patel, the Indian qualifier runner-up. Rob Cross, been in great form this year, looking to win his second PDC World Championship title, will take on Mario van den Bohada or Thibaut Tricol, the first Frenchman to make it to the PDC World Championships. Jose de Souza will take on the winner of Richie Edhouse or Jeffrey de Graaf, whilst it's Steve Lennon or Owen Bates for Johnny Clayton. One of the standout ties around that completely for me. And to round out Q1, Christoph Ratajski will play either Jamie Hughes or the former seniors world master David Cameron. Into the second quarter of the draw, Peter Wright is in for a tough one if Jim Williams can get past Norman Madhu. Raymond van Barneveld will take on Radek Sagansky or Marco Cantele. James Wade, another tough draw for him, regardless of who comes through this one. He will take on either Matt Campbell or Lawrence Elagan, whilst Christian Kist or Luke Little, at a 16-year-old world youth champion, averaged 15 180s in that final, by the way, between them, will take on Andrew Goldfinger Guild in the UK Open champion. Also in that quarter of the draw, going Price, seeded number 5 for this event, will take on Connor Scott or Christoph Kachuk. Brendan Dolan, one for the neutrals in this one, will take on Mickey Mansell or Zhao Cheng Zong. Dirk van Dijvenbode awaits for Keegan Brown or Boris Kirchmar. Both of those will fancy their chances if Dirk's shoulder injury keeps going. Whilst Gary Anderson will take on Simon Whitlock or Paulo Nebreda. Simon obviously struggling against Perez last year from the Asian Tour, finds himself another Asian opponent. Into the third quarter, the bottom half of the draw, Michael van Gerwen will start his quest for world title number 4 against Keane Barry or Reynaldo Rivera. Kim Hybrex will take on Richard Veenstra or Ben Robb. Dimitri Vandenberg will take on Dylan Slevin or Florian Hempel, whilst it's Ryan Joyce or Alex Spellman for the Bullet, Stephen Bunting, who finds himself in the 18th seed, historically the worst position to be in at this World Championships. Number 7 seed is Danny Noppert. He'll take on either Scott Williams or Haruki Muramatsu. Jermaine Watamena, into some great form this year, will take on Fallon Sherrock, with Martin Schindler awaiting in that one. Damon Heta will take on Martin Lukman or Halpai Puha. 2 tough draws for both the Kiwis in the field, but 2 they'll fancy their chances for. And Josh Rock rounds out Q3 with a tie against Luke Woodhouse or Barry Van Peer. Final quarter of the draw, and a 3-time major champion. Who thought we'd be saying that when we left Ali Pali last year? Luke Humphreys takes on Lee Evans or Sandro Gonsosing. I think I butchered that, but I also typed it very, very badly. Callan Ridds will take on Ricardo Petrescu or Mikuru Suzuki, one of 2 females in the field. Obviously, Bo not playing in this one. Joe Cullen, who Malik is asking about, takes on Jules Van Dongen or Darren Pennell, whilst we complete that section of the draw with Ryan Searle taking on Ian White or Tomoyo Goto. Into the final 4 fixtures, or final 4 of the bottom quarter, Nathan Aspinall will take on Ricky Evans or Simon Adams. Daryl Gurney against Steve Beaton or Wessel Nyman. Dave Chisnell will take on Cameron Menzies or Rusty J. Rodriguez. And it's Gian Van Veen or Man Lok Lung for Gabriel Clemens. What an interesting little title. There's a couple of standouts in there, Dan. Any picking up for you?
Well, I think it's who everyone was looking out for. I mean, I definitely like the look of James Wade against Matt Campbell or Lawrence Ilagan. Like that's a lovely little triplet there that I think is really entertaining. In the same sense. So I've got a couple because I've had the Independent on because they've been doing live updates. So I've got them in one of my windows. And for reasons I don't understand, they keep referring to Andrew Gilding on here as Lawrence Gilding. And it just keeps, every time I read it, it gives me a little chuckle. But so it's listed on the Independent website as Lawrence Gilding faces either Christian Kist or Luke Littler. But again, the idea of Luke Littler against Lawrence Gilding is pretty exciting. Like, I think that's an interesting, find me two more opposite, ends of the darting spectrum, and put them on an Ali Pally stage together. Like incredibly exciting. That Peter Wright against Jim Williams could be pretty cool. Johnny Clay, Steve Lennon, a man with an absolute back to the wall, one position away from his tour card.
He will not have liked seeing Owen Bates come through that on an absolute free roll. Already got his tour card for next year. This is an absolute, right, I'm just going to settle in, go and show people what I can do with what we presume will be a newly assumed nickname at the time, with a crack at Clayton, who has not had the best 6 months on the hockey at all.
No, absolutely not at all. I think there are seeds that will be relatively happy. I think Rob Cross will be relatively comfortable. Ross Smith, I don't think, will be terrified. I think Dobie's going to struggle. If we're honest, he's probably going to play William O'Connor. We know he can. I know he can beat him, but it's not a straightforward game. There are far more generous draws in there. The idea of a Michael Smith-Stowe Bunce match early in the tournament is quite exciting.
Yeah. Especially the world champion that'll be opening night. Let's not forget, Kevin Duke-Stowe Bunce will be the first game of the tournament.
Yeah.
And they will play Michael Smith on opening night.
Won't they?
Yeah.
But I think Joe Cullen probably got away with it a bit, so as did Ryan Searle. Their draws are relatively straightforward. I think the way both of them are playing at the minute. Callan Ridge has had a nightmare in that draw. Well, not a nightmare, but again, like Petresco and Suzuki as an opener to then play Callan Ridge. I think the draw could have been quite a bit kinder to Callan, as it could have been.
The ability of Petresco this year versus the crowd that are going to be on your back of Suzuki.
That's it. Yeah. It's either way, it's not an exciting prospect. Chizzy again, the idea of playing Rusty Jake or Cam Menzies, both of them can turn it on. They can both reach. They've both got a really high ceiling, and if they can find it, then Chizzy could, because he's been inconsistent at times.
Yeah.
And if he can't find it, Gabe Clemens, we've seen great things from. We saw a bit of. Saw some real positive things from him at the weekend. We've seen big things from him at the Worlds previously, but he won't be relishing a potential second-round match with Jan van Veen. So, but yeah, really interesting, interesting draw. Potential big meetings of informed players early in the tournament, which is what we like to see. It gets nice and exciting. Interesting.
It is indeed. Just having a scroll through social media, plenty of players tipping Luke Littler for a potential quarter-final, by the way. He would take on that Andrew Gilding tie if he gets through Christian Kist. 6 months ago, that Christian Kist tie would have been really, really interesting, but he is suffering from a hand injury, so it depends how much that enables him to play. Then you get James Wade, whose record at the Pally isn't fantastic. He'll play Matt Campbell or Lawrence Largan. You expect him to get through those, the way he's playing at the moment, but if Matt Campbell turns it on more than possible. Elsewhere, Peter Wright, he's been brilliant in the European Championships. Or was he brilliant anywhere else? He will not have liked seeing Jim Williams come through that, given his Pro Tour form of late. Barney in for a tough one against Radek Sagansky or Marco Cantelli. Pace will not be ideal for that one at all. Can certainly see that shout. Some people saying similar tie or similar facts for Fallon Sherritt. I'm not so convinced in that one. Jermaine Watermain looked brilliant at the weekend in the Players' Championship finals. That would be a first-round opponent with Martin Schindler sat waiting. I think a lot of crowd input perhaps on that one. Elsewhere, let's keep looking around. That Cameron Menzies, Rusty Jake Rodriguez is going to be fast and frantic to play Dave Chisnell. Indeed, Clemens, Van Veen or Manlock Lung. Manlock Lung can play. A player that some underestimate massively, I think, personally. Luke Humphries then won 3 of the last 4 major titles on the calendar, set to start against what we expect to be Lee Evans. I just want to get his opponent's name right because it has been scribbled. Luke. Sandro Eric Sosing is his name. I'll be honest, I don't know an awful lot about him, but I don't expect him then to cause Luke Humphries many troubles if he does manage to come through Lee Evans in that respect. He'll be looking at that. Jules Van Dongen's a tough little one for Joe Cullen. Obviously, we said Ridge is in for a tough one, whoever his opponent is in there. Ryan Searle against Ian White. He'll be looking at that part of the draw and going, do you know what?
Ryan Searle, I think Ryan Searle.
But actually, when he's moved from a section of the draw that included Barney and James Wade and Andrew Gilding and Gerwyn Price and Dirk Van Dijvenbode and Gary Anderson, he'll look down that and go, all right, Nathan Aspinall's in for a decent one, Ricky Evans, but you expect him to come through that. Gurney's in for a tough one, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
On Nyman. Chisnell's record in majors isn't fantastic, and Clemens has got a tough little game in there as well. Luke Humphries will be very, very happy with his work in the last 48 hours when that is the result.
Yeah, 100%, definitely.
As for Michael Van Gerwen, hunting his 4th PDC World Championship title, he starts against Ronaldo Rivera or Keane Barry. We expect Barry to come through that one, obviously. Not obviously, I didn't mean that disrespectfully, but King Barry is experienced now. He's been around a long time. He's been playing in the pro ranks. Tough little battle for Michael if he's caught off guard a little bit. But actually, again, you look down the rest of that draw. Stephen Bunting's in for a tough one against Ryan Joyce or Alex Spellman. That could be one of the games of the first round, by the way. Ryan Joyce's form looked magnificent at the weekend. Alex Spellman is a quality operator from America. Against that 18 seed, like I said, the furthest an 18th seed has ever gone at a PDC World Championship is the last 16. Every other position has made at least a quarterfinal or better. Dimitri Vandenberg will take on Dylan Slevinov for Ryan Hempel. There were glimpses this weekend that Dimitri might be returning to some sort of form. However, he did play a very sick Gary Anderson and a little bit of an under-par James Wade at times at the end of the day when they played very early on that day as well. So we don't truly know his form. Kim Huybrechts obviously beat Gerwyn Price over the weekend. He takes on Richard Veenstra, Ben Robb. That's tough whoever comes out of that one. Bottom half of that draw, that's a tough little part of the draw, by the way. Danny Noppert, Martin Schindler, Damon Hetter, and Josh Rock as the seeds. Scott Williams, Haruki Muramatsu, Jermaine Watermain, Fallon Sherrick, Martin Lukeman, Hal Piper, Luke Woodhouse, Barry Van Peer. The games against those respective seeds. Van Gerwen will like his early work. I think the back end of his difficult work, he'll hope to be in the tournament properly and be there. But he will have to be wary at the back end of that quarter of the draw, I think, Dan.
Yeah, it's I'm just trying to see if we've got a. Do you know who's not on the? No one's been on the ball and done the Wikipedia yet, because you often get quite a good layout in order to present it and start to work your way through the potential matches. Oh, there we go. We've got some now. We've got some.
Have you got one now? And then finally, let's talk Q1 and the defending champion, Michael Smith. Kevin Dukes or Stowe Bunce first up for him. Obviously, they will play twice on that day.
I don't think it's as bad. Now I look at it, when you look at it in order, you look down. I don't think it is, for Michael Smith. I don't think Smith's got a terrible draw there, in terms of his quarter. You look at the players in there, whilst they're all capable of a good, of a good day and a hell of a game, some of them. There's a lot of players in there that aren't particularly in amazing form. We're not seeing the best of Ratajski at the minute. Neither are we seeing the best of Clayton, nor of De Souza. I know Rob Cross has had a really good year, but he's patchy. We have seen peaks and troughs for him, as we've seen peaks and troughs with Dobie. Ross Smith.
I think that third round is where Smith's got the one to look out for. If it's Smith or Dobie who have got something to prove, chasing that final spot in the Premier League, that's where he might come undone. You expect him to get through Dukes or Bunce, especially if they've played first. Rasma, Dudeka, Horvat there as well. Smith or Dobie, one of those two, and then probably Rob Cross. And by that point, you expect tough games because it's the World Championship. And if you're going to go and beat it, you've got to beat some quality at times. Right, no graphic, unfortunately, guys. Nobody's put one live as yet. Phil is live at the event, so he hasn't made us one either. But it will be out on our socials pretty shortly. In fact, PDC have literally just tweeted it, but by the time I get it up, I'm going to finish this goodbye because Dan has kids to go and collect and I have to finish moving house. Well, moving somebody into my house. So a big, big thank you to everybody that has joined us to view this live reaction to the PDC World Championship draw sponsored by Paddy Power. Myself, Phil Bars and Lee Boyce will be back tomorrow night for the live lounge, 8 till 10, where obviously we'll take a deeper look at this draw to start with. One last thing. I swear if the treble is green, it is.
It's green.
Get used to it. The treble is green.
Better believe it. It's happened.
Paddy Power World Darts Championship. You'll be able to see that in action on Sky Sports throughout this year. But for now, a really big thanks for joining us for this live reaction. We've been Online Darts, and we will see you all very, very soon.